picking it up in the middle of chapter 3. The afternoon went pretty much like the morning. There was no basketball, but Mr. E pulled out 3 smaller balls from his big sack and juggled them. Yes, he juggled! It was quite amazing to see him toss the balls into the air and keep. Mrs. Brisbane had certainly never done that. It made my brains whirl when I tried to keep my eyes on the balls. Then Mr. E let my friends try juggling. Harry couldn't keep even one ball in the air, but he didn't seem too upset about it. Next, it was Thomas's turn. You should see my dad juggle. He can juggle 15 balls at a time, he said. Mr. E looked amazed. And knives, too. He can juggle knives, Thomas added, and baseball bats. Juggling large, sharp objects sounded downright dangerous. I heard Rolling Rosie say, "Give me a break." Just Joey rolled his eyes. Thomas managed to juggle the balls in a few seconds, but then he dropped them and they rolled across the classroom. Perhaps your dad can give you some pointers, Mr. E said. Phoebe caught the balls on her first try, but then dropped them. When Daniel tried, he managed to keep 2 of the balls going for a few seconds. It looked like fun, but I couldn't help thinking about Mrs. Brisbane. She'd be teaching us something interesting about the clouds or the ancient Egyptians or reading something wonderful like Sherlock Holmes. And here we were, going through an entire afternoon without learning anything except how to juggle. Near the end of the day, when Mr. E finally stopped juggling, Helpful Holly raised her hand. It's time to take care of Humphrey and Og, she said. They need to be fed, and Humphrey needs fresh water. Tomorrow, he gets his cage cleaned. I don't know how to do those things, Mr. E said. Holly explained that the students took turns at the job. This week, it was Phoebe's turn to look after me and Harry's turn to look after Og. When Harry threw some froggy food sticks into the tank, Og made a huge, splashy leap to get them. I could tell my friends were impressed. Mr. E was impressed too. He's quite the jumper. That's nothing, Thomas said. Once I saw Og leap out of his tank and land all the way on Mrs. Brisbane's desk. Some of my friends laughed. That didn't happen, Simon said. You're exaggerating, Holly said. Thomas just shook his head. I don't know what to say, he told him. I'd seen Og pop the top of his tank a few times, but I'd never seen him leap to Mrs. Brisbane's desk. Phoebe gave me fresh water, which tasted much better than the old water in my bottle. Oh, no, Phoebe suddenly said. Mrs. Brisbane always brings fresh veggies for Humphrey. Yes, she does, and I look forward to them. I always have Nutri-Nibbles and Mighty Mealworms, but there's nothing as crunchy and munchy as fresh veggies. In fact, I hide them in my cheek pouch and in my bedding, but the cage cleaner always finds them and takes them away. You don't have any? Mr. E asked. Phoebe looked worried as she shook her head. I do, a voice called out. Thomas rummaged through his backpack. I didn't eat my carrot sticks, he said. Humphrey can have them. I don't like them. I was extremely grateful to Thomas, though why anyone wouldn't like carrot sticks is a mystery to me. My friends take very good care of me. At the end of the day, Helpful Holly raised her hand again. We need our homework assignment, she said. A lot of other students tried to shush her, but Holly was determined. Mrs. Brisbane always gives us homework. Mr. E replied that he had a big surprise for the class. The only homework assignment was to bring in a riddle or a joke for the next day. You don't even have to write it down, he said. Then he tapped his finger on the side of his head. Just remember it up here. It was a pretty strange homework assignment, but then it had been a pretty strange day. When the bell rang, my friends all looked happy as they left the class. Bye, Mr. E, Thomas said on his way out of class. See you tomorrow. Bye, Mo Mamas, Mr. E said. I thought he was mixed up until I remembered the name song. I heard Hurry Up Harry tell Slow Down Simon, pretty sweet, no homework. Mr. E is a great teacher, Simon said. He's so funny, Kelsey told Rosie. After the students left, Mr. E sighed a big sigh and said, that went well. He strolled over to the table by the window where Og and I live. I think they liked me. Yes, 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 I shouted. And they liked Mrs. Brisbane, too. Of course, all he heard was squeak, squeak, squeak. Mr. Morales came into the room. I'm glad I caught you, Ed, he said. Are you available to teach tomorrow? Mr. E said yes, and then the principal said, I wasn't able to talk to Mrs. Brisbane, but her husband said her lesson plans are in the desk. Yes, I know, Mr. E said. Good, Mr. Morales said. I'll see you tomorrow. The two men shook hands, and Mr. Morales left. When the door closed, Mr. E chuckled. That's good news for me. Then he opened Mrs. Brisbane's desk drawer and took out the binder with the lesson plans in it. Whew! He was finally thinking about teaching his students. I watched him as he turned the pages. Math problems? Vocabulary? Art project? Science? Wow, she really packs a lot in, he said aloud. Yes, 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 I agreed. I don't know about all this, he said. He turned another page. And that's not going to work. Og started splashing around in his tank. I was worried too. After all, these were Mrs. Brisbane's lesson plans, and Mr. E didn't seem to like them. Mr. E closed the binder. I'm going to have to make these subjects a lot more fun to make this work, he said. A lot more fun. He was still muttering under his breath when he picked up his big bag and left room 26. And I had no idea what he was muttering about. And I still had no idea what had happened to Mrs. Brisbane's. But I had a bad feeling that it wasn't something good. Humphrey's Detectionary. A detective without any clues is like a classroom without a real teacher. That's where we'll stop for today. Hopefully Mrs. Brisbane comes back tomorrow, otherwise Humphrey's going to be really nervous again.